right. Call this meeting to order, March 11th. A little bit behind schedule, so if we can speed it along, if there's not a necessity of speaking, let's just go ahead forward with that if that's cool. Of course, speak up about anything that's important. Would you mind, Don, would you mind leading us in prayer?
Dear Lord, we ask you to watch over us as we do the business of the county. Encourage us to make the right decisions and allow civility in our discussions. And we also ask you to keep the parents of Sebastian Rogers in your thoughts, as well as the community, all the law enforcement, first responders that have been out there working tirelessly. We ask you to watch over them and pray to you to bring him home soon. Amen.
Amen. Hey, do we have an agenda's pile somewhere? There's
Tracy
stack
has
up here.
the
These
agenda.
extras. Says extras. Does anybody
Okay,
need one?
roll call. Terry Wright is not here. He, if y'all would, just keep them in your prayers. He's actually a pallbearer, and his neighbor passed away, pallbearer in his funeral. So, I won't share any more than that, but just if y'all wouldn't mind, just keep that community in your prayers. And I believe everybody else is here. So, approval of agenda.
Motion to approve.
Actually, we're at none.
Okay, but yeah, but you know what? Actually, before we do that, I have been contacted by a few folks, and without objection, I'm just going to add just a discussion about Wolfpack Way and the speed limit and that whole situation. Just because it's been a while, and I've been contacted several times, so if that's okay, I'm glad.
Where will we be adding it?
Let's just add it under report of the chairman.
Okay.
You can put it under new business, but
Okay.
it's the same difference. Thank you, sir. Okay, so now I'll if that's okay with everyone, can we have a motion?
No objection here.
Okay, Mayor's motion, so I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same motion. Okay, approval of minutes from last meeting.
Motion to approve.
Is there anybody else willing to add? Okay, I thought
Did
somebody said.
you weren't only
No,
adding.
that was the same
it.
thing.
Okay.
Yep, same thing.
Okay, so we got a motion to approve the minutes.
I will abstain, I was not here.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, got a second. Commissioner Jones, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same token. Public recognition. Would anyone like to speak?
I know you guys are in a hurry. I just have to say, I hope that you guys do strongly consider giving bonuses to the highway department. I think they did a really good job in January. It was just a nightmare for everybody, so that's all.
And thank you. And Charlene, would you mind just stating your address just for?
Yes, 143 Rolling Circle, Henderson.
You got that. Okay, and so anybody else want to speak? Thank you for speaking. I'm going to close that then, if that's okay. Public recognition is closed. And report of the chairman, I just am going to bring up, I've had a few citizens reach out beginning in August of 2022. It's been an ongoing issue, and I had some folks reach out recently, and a couple folks from here, even commissioners, reached out and said, hey, would you mind just saying something about it? So I want to bring up that and just, can I have a motion on the floor just to discuss the Wolfpack Way?
Second.
Second. Okay, so we got a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so basically, what it comes down to is we go back to the very beginning of we've been worrying about trying to get the speed limit posted and just in some situations because we've gone through. There's been a lot of study. I mean, a lot of us have gone out there, and just wanted to kind of hit on that a second or two, just because, and maybe ask Toby if you wouldn't mind on your opinion on that, and just kind of where we are on that. Go ahead, Tim. Commissioner Jones.
So I wanted to speak on this too, on Wolfpack Way, right? That's where we're at. Sorry, I was looking this up while you were talking about adopting that. What really bothered me was seeing the emails that have been going back and forth over this Liberty Creek plat, and one of the things was adopting that road, talking about needing to put signs up for flashing lights that our director of schools talked about, and it bothered me because enforcing the speed limit Wolfpack Way is currently a private road, like as if that's a safety concern, which it is, but it's all of a sudden on the radar of our school director. It bothers me because we brought this up at our first meeting of this committee 2 school years ago. We're at the end of our second school year when this came up. We didn't meet in September. We met in October, and it was the first item on our agenda because parents were concerned about not having school zones out there. So we talked about it. We beat it to death, went back and forth to several different committees on it. I think Health and Emergency Services talked about it. Education Committee talked about it. We talked to our Highway Department director about it. It kept bouncing around about whose responsibility. But one thing we all knew for sure was, as a county, we couldn't do anything with it because it was not a county road. The school board was the only ones that could have done something about it. And to think that that wasn't considered in their budget when that school was being planned 5 years ago, how long has it been since that school was designed and started construction? It was
I think late 2018 or early 2019, somewhere in that ballpark, probably.
5 years ago? Okay. So the very last thing we let it go in this committee was because our highway director, superintendent, said that he could talk to them and he's felt pretty confident that he could get them to put those signs up. Still hasn't been done. Why is it an issue now of safety when it wasn't this whole time? It's either a safety issue or it's not a safety issue.
Well, and to speak to that about the signs, I believe I'm correct that I spoke to several different schools, and it winds up the schools are the ones responsible for doing the flashing lights or correct, Toby?
Yeah.
And so because we went through the whole thing, because Mayor Isbell even called Sheriff Weatherford and
Right.
spoke with him, and we went through all of it, and went through the whole
We
gamut.
got extra personnel to go out and do the
Yes.
traffic control in the mornings.
And for a moment, there was somebody out there, and then we found out it was the SRO from the school, which was
Taking
felt
them
more
off their
dangerous.
duty.
Yeah, so there's a lot, and
But I will say, I know that the contractor, when they finished up, Upper Station, there was, some speculation or talk about using the lights that was for that road for Wolfpack. And then I know that they ordered it, and due to the process, I don't know if y'all know this, but I mean, when you order stuff, it's not like it used to be. It takes a long time to get them in. So the ordering process, when they ordered it, it's took a lengthy amount of time for them to get them in.
Are they on the way?
Yes, sir. That's what I know.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Because I will say, to speak to it, I've had so
I've
many.
been told they're on the way.
I've had a
They've been on.
number of citizens, not on the Upper Station Camp Creek Road, not that side. I haven't really had hardly anyone reach out about that. But on the Hunter's Lane side, it's just been a lot of folks have been very upset about it, that live in that Trails neighborhood back in there. And so that's not necessarily Hunter's Lane, but then all those back in there. But so just is there anything else we need to discuss on that? I am glad we brought it up because I keep getting asked about it, and so it's nice to have an update about that.
Well, the comment specifically was made enforcing the speed limit on Wolfpack Way, which is currently a private road. This may be a question for Mr. Ellis, but I'll direct my question to the chair, and if you know, any law that's broken within that property cannot be enforced because it's not adopted as county yet.
I believe that's correct. And
No. So the SROs are there in vain.
Well, I
That's-
believe
that
it's correct.
can't be right.
I believe traffic laws. Am I correct?
Only traffic laws.
I'm gonna ask folks that are smarter than I am about that. So.
Well, I think if there's something dangerous going on, traffic laws can, if they're doing something. the
Doing
sheriff-
donuts out there in the
Yeah, the
street.
sheriff can go out and stop them and correct.
So likewise, if they're doing 50 miles an hour in a 15-mile-an-hour zone, they can stop them. So this is not an accurate statement that
What
they're
I-
saying on here, that the director of schools is saying that us not approving, or the planning commission not approving that plat prevents them from enforcing speed limits on Wolfpack Way, which they have not put signage up for 2 years.
I know that, as far as the jurisdiction over the road, I have no jurisdiction over it.
Well, I'm not
I
asking
would
you to
say-
enforce
yeah, I
it.
know, but I'm sitting there, I'm just saying generally, you know, if a deputy sheriff pulls up and you're doing something silly,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure he can take care of the issue.
So-
As far as, do I know the law and if it's binding or not, I do not know that.
I will say, one more thing to that point, I understand what you're asking. There were some complaints, and I'm sure that Toby's probably heard them too, and the mayor's probably heard them too, but there were some folks that originally, I don't know if they still are, but they were drag racing on that road. At night, I assume. But, that's something that was going on out there, and I believe there were some deputies that were kind of trying to set up to stop that, to wait there, you know, and catch them at the end of
Well,
it.
so
I'm not sure.
to that point, they do have jurisdiction on that road.
I
If
think
people are
it's-
doing
it's
things
a
that are
gray area, but I think-
endangering kids,
It's a
they
gray
have the
area, but I
ability
think
to
you're-
enforce that. That's not an accurate statement. I just wanted to point that out. But it reminded me that we left this in this committee, and our superintendent said he would get that taken care of between he and the director of schools, that he could get them to do that. So I'm glad to hear that they're coming, but it's ridiculous that it's been this long. And I know the supply chain is slow, but it is not 2 years slow. And and when they knew the supply chain was slow back in 2020, when COVID first hit, or 2021, they should have been ordered back then. We still wouldn't be facing this problem. So I want the citizens to know that this committee has done their job when it came across to put it to the committees that should have done it, and all responsibility lies to the school board.
That's a good point, and we have no authority to
Make them do it.
enforce
Right.
that upon, you know,
Right.
we went through that acknowledging them, but absolutely, that's a very good point, so that's duly noted. Is there anything else on this that we need to speak on?
Will this road be accepted at some point in time, or
Once the plat is
It'll
accepted.
come
once it's
forward,
recorded
correct?
by the planning commission? Is that
Yeah, I don't
correct?
see why it wouldn't. I mean, I think it would be the normal protocol, wouldn't it, just for it to go through and be accepted?
How far would they be away from acceptance?
As soon as the plat is accepted, it probably would be accepted.
I do have one caveat, one question. Is that road between T.W. Hunter and Beach, you know where I mean, over there, like if you're going from Warsham's over to the fire hall area, is that a county road? Or is it just
You're
considered?
talking about Ward Lane?
No, not Ward. Ward's right there before,
He's
but then
talking
right
about
past
the road
it.
that's going into the parking lot.
That is the
It's
parking
not a
lot,
county
really. It's
road.
not a
It's really a
road.
parking lot.
It's really parking lot.
I just want to make sure, because I was thinking about that when we were talking about this a few months ago, and I didn't bring it up, and I don't think it is.
When I went to school there,
But
it
this
was
one's
just
got a-
a parking
this
lot.
is a
It's just
true-
been improved a lot to where it actually looks like a road.
This is a true stoplight out here, pass-through lane. Okay, I was just making sure, so that would be the difference. Yeah, so any other questions on that, guys, or any other statements, or?
I will do some checking. I know they ordered them months ago, so I'm thinking they'll be in pretty soon, hopefully.
Can
When
you
you-
report?
When you find out on that, would you mind just reporting back and putting it on the agenda? And then would you also, because I know there's been citizens asking where those lights will go. It's really important to them, and so therefore it should be very important to us to find out, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. So, since there's no action to take on this, I'll just move on to the next agenda item, if that's okay.
But we're keeping it on there, right?
Yeah, we can keep it on there in old business. Would you mind, Christie? Would you just put it on there in old business, and when it comes up and it's appropriate, if you wouldn't mind. Okay, so report of superintendent, road superintendent.
Okay. Wanted to, on exhibit 1, show y'all we're wanting to transfer some funds. If you remember back months ago, I brought in to this committee a contract and got with the county attorney. We did a contract with the city of Westmoreland and finished. We were doing some roads up in that area that we were paving the county roads, and their end was the city. Well, they paid us for that. And what I'm trying to do is just roll that back over in asphalt to finish out the year with. And we had in October, we got paid some insurance money on a tractor that burned up. And sadly so, but we're wanting to use that money as well. to roll over into asphalt, and it's gonna help us finish out the year.
Okay, I guess there's no vote, so,
That's just discussion.
I was gonna say, is it okay, I guess, make a motion for discussion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, go ahead, Tim.
Which tractor was this that burned up, a new one or an old one?
Well, it was not a real old one, but it was one that we had had for several years. But if you remember, I sent out emails to all of y'all letting you know what happened. We had our own investigation about it, and I even reached out to the Sumner County Sheriff's Department and their fire inspector come and do an inspection on it as well, trying to figure out exactly what happened. And my chief mechanic, he felt like it was a leak and there was a spark. And when the fire inspector come, he said, people don't understand. He says, when you have these electrical sparks and it gets ignited with some kind of fluid that's ignitable, he said the spark is 2,500 degrees. And he said it doesn't take much, and I'll be glad to send y'all pictures. It was amazing. Just about everything on it, the plastic, the plexiglass, all of that is petroleum products. So when it gets hot enough to burn, it really ignites.
I remember when it
Somebody
happened,
got
the
hurt
point
in
of
that.
And so we stop 3 or 4 times a day and blow out the debris, the grass, the dry grass that blows back on. And so we keep up with that. We take that very seriously. And the very next day, we shut all operations down and pulled every tractor in and we actually took the cabs off of them and looked up under all of them to make sure, because we do that in the wintertime. We did it again then just to make sure and go over each tractor. It took us a week to check for any leaks that we might have.
Now, the point of my question, Mr. Chairman, was I assumed that insurance money would be used to buy another tractor.
Well,
And to roll it into something else makes me pause, because there was a plea and a very good case made for why we needed 3 new tractors.
and we
to
still
not
haven't got
replace it.
3. We're still waiting, but we feel like this next month we'll get the 3 in. I'm selling 3 dump trucks that when Judy was still in office, it took a year and a few months to get the dump trucks in that she had ordered. And
So how many tractors do you have now?
I've got 8 right now.
So you would have had 9 if this one didn't burn up.
That's right.
And the argument was made that you needed
12. I need 12. is what I
right,
need.
but now
So-
you're only going to have 11 because of this.
But when I sell the dump trucks, I'm gonna have the money to get a good used one, and that's what I was planning on doing.
You would buy a used tractor?
You could buy a good used one. I don't know that I can come up with enough to buy a brand new one.
The whole argument for buying the 3 new tractors was to go with the roll-off plan every few years. We budgeted out a replacement of so many tractors. To buy a used tractor just kind of throws a wrench into that whole argument. So it makes me question the whole plan.
If I can buy a new one, I will. But it's, we're just looking at where we're at right now.
Does anybody else have issue with the way this is working? We're burning up tractors, but replacing money with some other
Wow.
department and different section.
Well, a new tractor is like $140,000, if I remember from 15 months ago. And how much is a used tractor?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. How much is a
you
good
would have
used
to look
tractor?
just at low hours, but what I was looking at is this was a really good used tractor. This is a tractor that I would not have replaced. And if I can find one comparable that's a little newer than it, maybe I can. The tractors we talked about were
2012s.
They were really old,
Mm-hmm.
and this one wasn't. And so what I'm saying is, if I can give it a new one, I've got a little money left in my capital projects, and then with the sale of the dump trucks, it'll be close. I might be able to get a new one.
And just to
That's
answer your
not-
question on that, Shannon, I mean, insurance should be smarter than I am about tractor replacement, and it's saying that $43,825 would be what it would be to replace that one.
Yeah.
And that was a somewhat, okay, so I think if he's in the $50,000 range, it might be.
But my point is, we're not using the insurance money to buy a new tractor.
I know, that's a very good point. And so,
Let's-
I guess just to move it
Well,
along.
what
the
I'm
point
saying
we
is the
asked-
dump trucks are gonna replace this money and add more to it. Right now, I need mix. I need to be putting down mix. And so during this time while I'm checking the tractors, this is something that's gonna happen, but this is gonna add money to, my hot mix item that's gonna help me.
So, I mean, I guess the best way to ask it then is, and I think I understand it this way, is do you feel like this is the best way to spend the money, you know, and manage the income or
I think
the
so.
money that you have in your account?
It's gonna give me immediate work down. It's gonna be putting mix on the ground and repairs done that I gotta do right now.
Because I think at that point, we gotta ask questions about it, but then I think that there's a certain point where I've just gotta trust that you got the best interest in it, you know?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So
All I'm
does that
saying
answer-
is the truck values are gonna replace this and more, and give me more money.
How old are the dump trucks that you're selling? I'm
The
just
dump
curious.
trucks are, they're 95 models. I'll send you,
You don't have to
Said
send me, I
your work,
trust
they're-
you, I just
okay.
wondered, I didn't know.
Are you not gonna need to replace those dump trucks?
they're already
These are
been replaced.
done
Okay, that does fill in a few gaps.
Yeah.
Does that help?
I do
Mr.
have a
Jones.
quick question, because it just occurred to me, did you ever sell the old car?
I did.
Oh,
I
okay.
got $2,500 for it.
Okay, good.
I come in, I just didn't understand why we still had it. It was a car that they
I
had bought
just
years
wondered.
ago, and it was just sitting there.
I just wondered.
It was last year.
It was the mayor's personal vehicle.
It was Scotty Parker's. He had bought it several years ago.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to argue all that out to understand it. I understand sometimes you gotta juggle buckets of money, but for the citizens that just heard, we forked over a lot of money to buy tractors, and then to hear this, I wanted it all understood. I wanted to understand it myself.
That makes sense.
Well, I mean,
And
we're
it's our
getting-
job to hash those things
100%.
out.
And we are
bring
getting
it all
3 new
out.
tractors, which is a wonderful thing. It's a great
And
thing.
I think too, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but this was, I hate to use the word emergency, but this thing burning up was an emergency. So there's a difference of planning ahead, which I think you did with the 3 new tractors, versus responding to an urgent need. So you're recognizing, again, if I'm wrong, please tell me, but you're responding to a piece of equipment that basically broke
Right.
unexpectedly.
Right.
So your solution to do something is to sell some capital to buy something decent just to get you through if I'm on it.
Right.
And so right now, you're just wanting to put it back into hot mix, which I think a lot of people are gonna like to see.
I think everybody's gonna like it, as long as we have enough tractors to put down the hot mix that we buy. I think that's the number one question I would get from
I think
citizens.
the main thing is not tractors for hot mix, that's for lawn mowing season.
But you
coming
know what
up.
I'm saying though, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's all that they're gonna be asking is, do we have enough vehicles to
Right.
put down the supplies that we have? So, are there any other questions on that? I think
Is that
it's a
an
great
action
point.
item?
There's a great point that you said that, and I believe we had to vote on this to pass it on to budget. Am I correct? Okay, so,
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it, to pass this on to budget with the, you know, just to be looked over, but with a positive, you know, kind of recommendation from us. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Next thing.
This goes back to November. In December, we've talked about this a few times. I wanted to say that, instead of pursuing a pay raise, what I've talked to David Lawing about extensively was doing a one-time bonus, just to give the guys something that will sustain them throughout the rest of the year, and hopefully keep several of my people retained. And then, you know, when talking with David, I'm sitting here looking at it, we're already in the budget cycle. And so let next year take care of next year through the budget cycle and try to work with that. And that's what I was trying to do here tonight is talk to y'all about that and make sure that, I can talk to budget about it tonight as well. What I did is I did do a little study, I did call superintendents with Wilson, Williamson, and Montgomery. And the reason I based that study is, they're all comparable in miles. Wilson has 860, I have 800. Williamson has 780, and Montgomery has 740. And then if you look at the populations, they're pretty comparable, Wilson being the smallest one. And then if you look at the value of the homes that are being sold, different things, from a market study, these are three counties that kind of make sense with Sumner County as far as where we're at as a whole. And so I talked to the superintendents, and they sent me some information on their pay scales. And of course, this does not show what the private sector does to us, but this is just where we're at as far as municipalities in our area that is comparable to Sumner County. And so I just kind of put that together to show y'all some of the differences that are out, and we're behind as far as where our pay scale is, and hopefully through our budget cycle I can take steps over the next year or two and get that corrected.
Does anyone want to make a motion for discussion on this?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna start this out. I like you put this together, Toby, but I think the one thing that we gotta really be careful about is, you make great points about the size or of the county, or the amount of miles on the roads, the amount of price of the houses, because we're all in Middleton City, they'll probably be comparable.
And the size of the departments too.
The size of the departments, great points. But the number one thing that the taxpayers are gonna ask me if I don't ask is, what are the tax revenues? I hate using the word revenues because it's literally being stripped from citizens, but what's the money that's being generated by taxes? What's the amount of the overall debt that is owed by that county? And, things like that, of that nature, that really, that's the most important thing. And so, right now, we're in debt in Sumner County. Williamson County is way more in debt than us. And so I don't know if we want to be on a degree of how much in debt, but that's one of the things that's hindering us is our debt, because when we are in debt, that means that the citizens' money that's being taken from them and taxing, and every time we tax them, and I know you guys know this, but it means that they're already working at a deficit because we're in debt. So they're having to service old money from things that they might have just moved here for, and they're not even getting to experience the benefit of what happened with that tax money. So anyway, those are the things that are really important to me about making sure that we're very careful. I think you've done a great job on the idea of the bonuses that you spoke with David Lawing. And if you don't mind me speaking to that, I called David and talked to him for a while, and he's so good about helping about this kind of thing, about helping me understand what's going on. And basically, I want to make an apology. I spoke at a previous commission, and I said that it raised our maintenance of effort because I couldn't understand why it wouldn't. And I still think that might have, if that had been truly a pay raise, because you'd have to replace that next year. I might be wrong on that, and I'm sorry if I am, but I don't see how this could raise it, because I talked to him. This is actually a bonus. So if I was wrong, I apologize. If I wasn't, I'm glad I said it. But I just want to make sure that we're really careful to know that, as far as we can tell, it doesn't look like it's going to do anything, because according to David, you've taken in quite a bit more money this year than what we thought.
Right.
Can you speak to that just real quick?
Yeah, we've got extra monies in the fund balance that going into the last quarter of the year, and the last quarter of the year is vacation time, where you get a lot of extra travel. Fuel tax will probably be a little higher than what it's going, so we feel like this is something that will probably work into our favor. I think we're a plus 135,000 some odd dollars right now, and we feel like that'll go up.
And your total amount that you're asking for the bonus is?
We're asking for 150,
See, so-
but it's something we feel like that this is gonna go up and cover it.
That's what he felt too when I talked to
Yeah.
him. So it was all exactly what we spoke about.
Right.
So if anybody has any more questions, then I want it to continue on out. But I want to say that I believe that we should take this page right here now, knowing that it is not full of the two main things we need to know is how much money's coming in from taxes and how much debt there is. Those are two huge ones. The other ones are important, but I want to have
Well,
that.
I will tell you, and this is important to me, is I manage the biggest asset in the county. It's 800 miles of roadway. And the thing that I can promise you, it's just like last year, if I do exactly the same amount of tons this year as I did last year, it's over a $670,000 increase. So what happens is that the cheapest thing to do is to give me enough money to operate and do as much work as I possibly can to repair and repave some of these roads and get them up to snuff. Right now, we're the 8th largest county in the state, and we've probably got some of the worst roads of anywhere. And the safety of your kids and mine is number one. And now I don't know what our debt is, but I do know that I've been told we're AAA bonded, so we're probably in pretty good shape as a county as a whole. They don't usually give that out. But I will say this, is that I really want to do as much work as I can to get us getting our roads where they need to be. And the retention of my employees is the key to that. You just don't go out and get people every day like we've got. And, you know, when you've lost 9 people since the beginning of the year, it's a scary thing because they're great guys. They're very, very handy. That's the reason people want them. That's the reason people want to hire them from.
See, I agree wholeheartedly on that, but I think there's one thing that's more important, and I think that we've neglected it for years in our county and all over Middle Tennessee, is I believe that as we continue to, you know, we can't afford, you know, to have the roads paved correctly or the schools or all the different things that, you know, law enforcement, there's all these things that are amazing assets to our community that the citizens are missing out on because we've been off balance. And so therefore, like, it gets to a point where that if you tax citizens too much, you lose your number one asset. That's the citizens who live here. And I think that you got to be careful because the time to raise taxes is whenever that there's you know that everything is being spent efficiently and there's no wasteful excess of just mess. And that's a hard place to get to, but that's a reality that we got to look at because if I don't want to lose highway employees,
Sure.
but it's very important to me that we don't lose citizens.
Where's our
over.
tax rate at in comparison to everybody else in Middle Tennessee?
I think that's what he's asking for you to provide
Yeah,
with this.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it.
Because I think we're about the cheapest county in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah,
Maybe so. I mean, but,
we like it that way.
But I
Well,
want.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing,
Yeah, I
but
want to
I'm,
say.
To your point, I would like to move to push this on to budget if we can ask that the comparison of tax rates be added to this list so that they have something to look at when they vote on this for budget.
Well, Dave,
Our job is to
Who's
say
second?
the need is there, and then their job is to figure out if we can afford it or not.
Yeah,
So,
I want to say one thing. Can I make a remark though on y'all's? And if that's what you want to do, it's great. I believe we should pass them on separately, and the reason why I think that the bonuses should be a separate item. That is because I'm for the bonus in concept.
separate from what?
The bonus idea and then this study. And I'll just tell you what I'm thinking. And if I'm wrong, then you guys go ahead and keep your motion. But I believe that the bonuses should be separate in the fact that it's not going to change the maintenance of efforts.
that's right.
So I think that we keep the hot water away from that, because this right here, I believe, will be very revealing. But I think also the pay rate is revealing too. So, I mean, it's a negative. You know, it's like, we're pretty low, and I think that's a whole different argument. So what I would like to see is, I'd like to see that passed on to be carried through whenever the budget review is. I'd like a little preparation, knowing what's coming. And that's a whole different conversation, but I think that there should be, if you guys would think about passing on a positive recommendation in it, I support the idea, the concept, as long as the budget will take the time to investigate and make sure there's nothing that I'm not seeing.
I withdraw my motion. I like your version better.
Is that okay with the second?
I agree.
Okay,
I'll
so,
second.
so anybody want to make a motion to that effect, if that's okay? I mean,
Do we
if
do
that's
this,
what you want to
are
do.
we doing this individual right now?
Um,
Which one are we doing? Motion to do which one?
I believe that we could do, a motion.
Well, it's a motion for,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we pass item A2 on to budget for further review.
Yes.
And then they can do an ad hoc committee or review it or whatever they want to do with it. We determine there's a need, they take it from there.
Absolutely.
I'll second that.
I like that. And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we pass item 3 on to the budget committee for further review.
Yes, sir. And would you like to say with a positive recommendation, as long as it matches? All in favor, say aye. Oh, did we get a second? Okay,
Well,
I'll
let's-
second it.
Are we gonna ask that these tax rates be included on this
I
for
think
it
they're
to
two
go to
separate-
budget?
I think they're two separate things. I think budget can decide if they wanted an ad hoc. but
I was just
think-
trying to save them time to get it speeded along, but they can ask
well,
that question there.
David
That's
has
fine.
all that information.
Yeah, he probably has all that information.
He's got that
already.
information,
Okay,
so I'll
if
get
he
with him.
could fill it in right then and there, that'd be great.
Yeah, so, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. See if there's anything else. County Mayor, do you have anything?
No report, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut off. Did you have anything else, Cody?
No, I'm good.
I'm so sorry I did that, so forgive me for getting out of order. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And there's no commission business as far as I could tell.
Motion to
So-
adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, you good. Well, you should-